Hope you're well. I'm Jade Fletcher from Jade Green Productions, and today I'm going to talk through exploring the hybrid revolution and what we've been doing at Jade Green Productions since the pandemic to try and create more impactful solutions and to keep other businesses going in this period and beyond. So we're going to jump straight into it. First of all, a little bit of background about me and the journey of the business. So I've been in the entertainment industry for over 20 years now. I did my first fashion production in 2009, literally pulled everything from fashion designers, clothes, theming, content, booked the team, cast the models, all of that. And from there, I just decided that that's the path that I wanted to take. And was booked multiple times to freelance on a number of fashion shows and productions, and it really evolved from there. So I started the business in 2012, just before working on the Olympics with BT's VIPs and stakeholders. And in 2013, I won the Royal Bank of Scotland Women in Enterprise Award. Another big time in the year was doing the MOBO Awards, which is Music of Black Origin in the UK. It's the only one of its kind, and started working with a lot of artists and celebrities at that period of time. I've also worked across Europe, Prague, Barcelona, Rome, Brussels, and worked on events such as the Red Bull Culture Clash, the Commonwealth Fashion Council at Buckingham Palace. When the pandemic hit, obviously there was a big kind of crisis within the events community, and everyone is still figuring out exactly how we move forward and beyond. But basically for Jade Green Productions, we decided to really embrace the technical side of things and not only continue to do live, but also to fully embrace virtual and hybrid solutions. So what we offer, a personalised approach to event management. So as I mentioned, we do live, hybrid, virtual, a fusion of everything really. We always offer bespoke consultancy, or as much as possible. And the reason for that is events are not just a showcase. They can be a showcase, but also it's really about coming up with KPIs, something measurable, something that's not just you pat each other on the back afterwards and say that's a great event. It's how can we create impact beyond that. So we also offer project management and coordination. We can do on-site delivery and technical project management. So on-site previously would just be live at an event venue or location, but now that also means being virtually present as well. With our technical side, our partners, we offer stable and immersive virtual and hybrid event platforms. We have now developed 3 different core solutions. So it really depends on what the client and the event needs are. So anything from real broadcast quality, so something that's focused much more on the broadcast and a one-way conversation, so perfect for shows and catwalks and that type of thing. Then we have our secondary solution, which is much more bespoke, and that really kind of suits clients where they want to network and have a two-way conversation, but still have really good quality and have it kind of produced. Then we have a third solution, which is called Amethyst, and this is something that we've developed in conjunction with one of our tech partners called Summit 7, and that is 360 environments, which can either be used as they are and then tweaked to each client and their brand, or we can do something completely bespoke to the client and the event. We can also pull in virtual reality and augmented reality in those solutions, so it's really exciting to play with. And all of these are definitely compatible with hybrid event scenarios. So in terms of entertainment as well, we can book entertainment. We have a lot of connections and suppliers and celebrity contacts, industry contacts, and something else that we really focus on is the guest experience, and we'll jump into that a little bit later as well. On the production side, so this is something that I want to talk about more in terms of expectations of events and bringing up the quality of online events that we have at the moment. So we can do pre-records, we can do live streams, we can put commercials and ad breaks into the hybrid element of things. We also create promo videos. We recently have done a 3-part mini-series for a charity on YouTube. We can do photo shoots, music promos and short films as well. So Thinking about the events industry specifically, one of the first things that we really have thought about in this period of time, and something that we continue to think about, and something that you as event professionals should really consider, is what are your clients' pain points? So that will be the case regardless of whether your event is live, hybrid, virtual, should always be the case. But particularly in this period of time, we had to really sit and evaluate what was missing for our clients and how we can address these solutions. So broken them down into 5 core areas. So we have the sales aspect. So that will apply to event professionals, other event organisers, many businesses across the spectrum. What events usually come down to is the bottom line. So that could be, for example, ticket sales, that's your sales. Could be merchandise, that's your sales. It could be brand awareness for your charity, so not directly sales, but ultimately the goal is for people to buy into the charity, the cause, or whatever, and to donate. So sales can come in multiple different ways. Another pain point was broadcast, and obviously this has come specifically from Zoom fatigue and that type of thing, and where we think that really sits is that social media has played a massive part, as have conference platforms, in keeping the connection with brands and their audience, which is great. But this is where some people have become a little bit worn out with using these solutions because it's not good quality. When we're talking about social media, for example, internet connections can drop, there can be not enough bandwidth, the amount of people joining, for example, and that makes it difficult to watch. And if it's difficult to watch, that means people can easily disengage, and then they're creating kind of a subliminal association with your brand that maybe it's not of the highest quality, or maybe they don't want to come to future events, for example. So broadcast is another big one that we've been thinking about. We're also thinking about guest experience, as I mentioned. So that's where we have decided to pull in the interactive environments, because if you're looking at a blank screen or a black screen and lots of multiple faces, it's really easy to get distracted. Other emails are coming in, maybe your phone's going off, someone's at the door, all of these types of things. However, if you're pulled into a really exciting, dynamic environment that you want to go and explore, you're much less likely to become disengaged with the experience. Then we're thinking about personalisation. So this is where entertainment and gifting comes into it, and that's both virtual and live, so hybrid. Entertainment, again, it's a difficult one. I've been to quite a few virtual events where, for example, yoga at the beginning of all this was a massive trend, which I get because we're talking about health and well-being and mental health and everything like that. But you have to really think about your audience and what they're going to radiate to. So if I'm going to a corporate conference, for example, and I want to network at this virtual corporate conference, I'm going to wear a certain type of attire and set myself up for the day in a particular way. Now, if the first thing on the agenda is yoga, firstly, once I've done that, I'm not necessarily going to want to jump into being at the rest of the event. And secondly, I've got to think about the attire. Am I going to start the conference at 9:15 in active wear and then get changed for networking, in the afternoon, or am I just not going to do the yoga? However, if, for example, I was going to do attend the event and then in the evening there was a cocktail making masterclass, for example, or champagne and canapes or something like that, I'm much more likely to join in because it sets the tone of the whole event. And this is where we have to think about the consultancy aspect of the event. It's really not just about ticking boxes and what's popular and what's the trend. It's what do you want to get out of it? Who is your audience? And targeting all of these different things and creating solutions to match that. So, and the last point that I'm going to talk about on this, a huge pain point is sponsorship, because many brands have lost sponsorship. And that's been a massive revenue loss for them. So the other thing that we wanted to pull in is to find ways that we can measure sponsorship, both for you or your client as the brand, but also the sponsors themselves. So we wanted to create something where not only can you measure it, you can collect the data, you can understand the value of something that will help you promote things in the future. And also, when you compare sponsorship online, virtually, as opposed to live, actually, there's much more of an opportunity virtually than there can be live. And what I mean by that is, Again, we've worked with a number of corporate companies that will spend, 25,000, 30,000 on a particular area of the room that they're sponsoring. Now that's a huge potential almost consequence. You have to be able to understand that that's going to get you that 25 or 30,000 pounds back at least as a bare minimum, and then increase revenue from there. Otherwise it's not worth sponsorship. Now that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself for one day, one event, for example, and same as the event organizer, it's the same thing. It's a lot of pressure. You have to be able to justify that. And even from a guest perspective, I've been to events where I've been interested to speak to sponsors, for example, or suppliers, and there's been, massive queues, and then I don't want to speak to them anymore. I don't have time. I've been pulled in a different direction. Maybe I picked up their business card, but because I didn't have an actual connection with them, it hasn't led to anything, and I don't particularly feel to follow up with them. So, potentially people have lost loads of data for things like this, and potential clients and potential sales. So if we're transferring this to a virtual hybrid dynamic, you've got much more of an opportunity here, a massive opportunity, because you're collecting data from everyone that's taking any type of interest, regardless of whether you're having a conversation with them or not. You're able to see these different specific points of what they're interested in, specific areas that they're interested in. You can collect their data, and if you are setting up networking opportunities with them, you can have much more meaningful conversations. People really want to be there. You can connect with them on a much more personal level. You're not distracted by other people in the corner. So yeah, there's some great opportunities in this market. So 5 main client pain points and ways that we are addressing them. So hybrid is being thrown around a lot in our industry, and it's not just in our industry. It's we're thinking about hybrid cars, for example. It's a buzzword of this generation, and a conversation that we had with one of our clients from the Commonwealth Fashion Council yesterday is, not only is it a business word, it's kind of a word for lifestyle now. And how it kind of translates to me is this balance, this work-life balance. This balance of, different opportunities and live and virtual and technology and personalisation, and how we can incorporate that to create a much more kind of rounded society and lifestyle. When we're talking about hybrid specifically for events, so here are some of the benefits. You may know these already, but crosses geographical boundaries and time zones. So for example, I love music. I'm a massive music fan. I haven't always been able to get tickets to some of the concerts that I wanted to go to. And if they're taking place in other countries, then I'm not necessarily going to be able to go. So how amazing is it to be able to connect bands and fans globally without any restrictions on location, ticket sales, all of these types of things. If I want to see a rock band in the States or whatever, I'm not going to go over there, but I still want to connect with them and watch their music and things like that. This presents almost the perfect solution. So people who are there can go and watch the concert, they can get the vibe. People who are committed enough to want to buy a plane ticket, great. But also they're not losing out on the people on the other side of the world who are either fans or they might not even know about you, but this is the opportunity that they have to connect with you in a much more realistic way. That also falls into capacity. So, at the O2, for example, I've been to several concerts at the Indigo in the O2 in London, and and I've worked on a number of events there as well, and the capacity, I can't even remember what it is. I think it's about 2,000. So as soon as you reach that capacity cap, you as the event organizer, as the artist, that's it. So yes, you're making money if you fill it to capacity, but you're also potentially losing out on these other hundreds, if not thousands of people. So why not open it up? Even if you're charging less, that's absolutely fine, but you're still creating that space to reach more people, to have more people buying your merchandise, for example. And then following on from that, we've got things on demand. So having it virtual, having the broadcast version of it means that you can have it there. Well, firstly, once you've got it recorded, you can obviously always have it there, but from an event perspective, you can have it there on demand. So say, for example, you had your one concert, your one-off date in London, for example, and then you know, basically the fans missed it if they weren't able to come and see you. But this way they could, instead of spending £30 or £50 on a ticket, maybe they could spend 10 or 15, for example, and they could access different event experiences during that time, but they could experience it for a year, and that almost becomes like passive income for you. As we kind of talked about on the sponsorship side, hybrid events are much more measurable. Anything online is measurable because you're collecting data. Sustainable, so this is another big thing. The events industry has been talking about sustainability for a long time, but it has, in all honesty, been quite niche. You know, there's niche companies that are focusing on sustainability, and this has given us a real opportunity to address sustainability within the event industry and entertainment industry, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. But in terms of, you know, flights, accommodation, footfall, you know, rubbish, the amount of things that get thrown away, and packaging and all these kind of things, you know, this is an opportunity for us to really cut that down while still having reach, while still increasing income opportunities, while, you know, the list goes on basically. Then we're thinking about flexibility. So, you know, having worked in live events for a number of years now, you choose the location for whatever great reasons, but, you know, there's usually a downfall in some, or not downfall, but a compromise in some way, shape or form. Like, you really wish this pillar was actually here instead of here, or, you know, they don't have the lighting that you want, or, you know, you can't bring the food in, or whatever. When you've got hybrid, you've got so many more options, because you've got the options that the venue are giving you, and then you've got the options that you can do yourself, and even things like switching things out. So, you know, when we were working primarily in fashion, you would have, you know, 2 or 3 days, but maybe different designers on each day, so then you need to pull out the logos and change the branding and everything else, and that's physical manual labour. Once you've got the hybrid or virtual element in there, it's so quick. You literally click the buttons, you pull out the branding, you change the branding, you change the colours, so much quicker and easier to do, and you become super creative with it. So, you know, you can be very creative in live, obviously, but the cost implications go up, time goes up, labour goes up, all of these things. So, you know, to match that, you can do something incredible on the virtual side as well. So some of the solutions that we've been coming up with: we want to continue to raise the awareness of a business, service or product, because again, as we talked about in the beginning, this affects the bottom line, adds to the sales pipeline, and what we want to do is to help other people in directly in the events industry and our businesses, our clients, their partner sponsors, to create revenue and employ others as well, and, you know, obviously kind of increase and improve business growth and boost the economy. So this solution was never just about us as a company, it was about how can we help other event professionals, how can we help other people in the entertainment industry, how can we add value, how can we help the economy, how can we create great experiences for other people and opportunities for other people. So just going to show a quick video here. This one's super quick. It's really just a first look at an art gallery space that was created with Summit 7, and it just shows you what it can look like. Obviously, if you have virtual reality or Google glasses, then you can see it in VR, which is pretty cool. If you click on the paintings in the environment, what happens is you can get a range of different information, from written information, maybe a video about the piece of art or the artist. You can also scan a QR code and see the pieces of art in augmented reality. You can move them around in 360, and you can also purchase. So again, we're talking about the bottom line here. This is not just kind of, oh, we're going to put it on an event, we're going to make it hybrid, or we're going to just put it virtual or something like that. It's about really curating the experience. So where I think some people have maybe missed a trick in terms of virtual and hybrid events is that some people have just kind of thought, this is an easy solution. We can put it on Zoom, we can put it on Teams, we can put it on a conference platform, but they're not really thinking about the audience. They're not really thinking about the timings. And in a sense, it's kind of made people feel originally at the beginning of all this that anyone can put on an event Anyone can put on an event. I've said that since day one. Anyone can put on an event. It's not rocket science. You know, we're not saving the world. However, at the same time, to put on a good event that has a return on investment, that creates great brand awareness, then you really need to think about your guest experience. So that comes down to what they're experiencing, what time they're experiencing, the type of content they're watching, and this, regardless of whether it's live, hybrid, virtual, determines the success of the event and the impact that you have. And you know, this is where you as event organisers or event professionals will be able to help the client to kind of curate and come up with the best level of experience, the best timings. We've got multimedia information, so as we kind of talked about earlier, it's not just about seeing things in a one-dimensional environment and having that one-to-one interaction. It's about, right, how do we make this whole environment really, really exciting? How do we get people involved and feel like they've got an association with the brand or the client? So, you know, we can have text, we can have networking, we can have videos, we can have augmented reality, we can have hampers delivered to your door with all the branding, all of these different things. So it's mixing up all of these different types of content depending on the event, depending on the deliverables, and making it work for everyone. We've also got interesting experience targeted to the audience, which we addressed earlier. We've got product sent to attendees, so like I was talking about, you know, if you want to do a wine tasting event as part of a media run, for example, or a round table, you know, you can send out lovely bottles of wine, cheese boards, charcuterie, chocolates, truffles, whatever you want. And then we've got here virtual goodie bags, which again, this kind of feeds into the measurable side of things, but also the sustainability of it. And in this short clip, you can also have a little bit of a sneak peek about the 360 integration. Here you can see a short clip of the inside of a car in 360. Again, if you have access to VR, you'll be able to see this in virtual reality. So now we're moving on to the online guest experience. Well, we're going to talk about online and hybrid in parallel. So now I just want to talk about the 6 dimensions of event planning, or the A6s, which you probably know about. So we're thinking about, yes, the live element, and we're also thinking about the hybrid element in tandem. So we've got anticipation, arrival, atmosphere, appetite, amusement, and appreciation. So what we need to do is look at the experience on both sides, on the live side and the virtual side. So anticipation is really about building that excitement, you know, building the excitement within a particular community as well, your community of guests, building excitement potentially within media. Having this whole thing about FOMO, you know, you want your guests to be saying, regardless of whether it's a live event or they're attending the online element, that they want to be excited, they're speaking to other people, they're saying, are you attending this event? I can't wait to attend this. We're then thinking about arrival. So arrival in the physical sense is how are your guests arriving, transport links, you know, things as basic as that, what their dress code is, for example, and then also how they feel walking into the venue. You know, how warm is your reception? What does the lighting look like? Is there music? Are there people to meet and greet? And then you need to think about the same thing when people arrive into your hybrid element, your online element. So, you know, if it's literally a blank screen that people are coming into, or, you know, a timer, is that exciting? Is that building the atmosphere? Is that engaging for people? You could do that. Or, you know, one of the things that we really kind of thought about in terms of our environments and our platforms is how can we make people feel like they're a part of something from the minute they sign in or they log on. So for example, if you're doing the hybrid element, guests can come in and maybe they can straight away experience what a 360 or VR area looks like. Maybe they've got multiple rooms that they can go in and play with in the beginning before the event actually starts, and maybe there's a really exciting promo video that's happening that's pulling them in. So you need to think about that as much as you're thinking about your guests that are coming in live from the street. Thinking about atmosphere as well. So again, what is the atmosphere? Is it warm? Is it engaging? Is it exciting? Is there some mystery to it? And then how do we run that theme on the virtual side of it? So you can still create atmosphere being at home, regardless of whether that is sending a box and kind of saying, right, your first clue is XYZ, for example, or now's the time to pour your first glass of Prosecco, whatever. You can still build atmosphere. I think we're very passionate in this business about not having generic experiences, and that includes each of these different elements. Appetite. So obviously one of the, I wouldn't say a battle, but one of the challenge that I've had previously with clients in the past is they're all about the content, which is great. Content is key. However, if you're running an event from 6 till 9 or 6 till 10, for example, you need to be thinking about food for people. Many people are coming after work, for example. If you're not thinking about food, one of two things is going to happen. Either they're going to be annoyed and they're going to say that you're cheap, why are you not feeding people? Or they're going to leave and go and get food elsewhere. So, this is something that I always encourage my clients to think about. If you really don't want to provide food and drink for your guests, that's absolutely fine. But then you need to really think about the timings, and you need to manage their expectations, and you need to manage your own expectations. So, and the other thing, even if you are organising food as part of your event, again, you have to think about your audience, not what your food preferences are, which has been a challenge previously. So depending on the type of event that you're doing, if you're running a catwalk show or a fashion production, you're probably not going to have a buffet or a 3-course meal, for example, but you might have champagne or Prosecco and canapes. If you are running a charity production, obviously the goal is for people to be donating money or bidding on auction items, that type of thing. So probably you want them to drink a little bit more and to have a great time. So, in that instance, you might be thinking of a 3-course sit-down meal, different wine for each course, for example. So it really depends on the scope of the event and what you want to get out of it. But regardless of what you're doing live, you need to really reflect the same thing on what you're doing on a hybrid or virtual level. And there's different ways to do it, but just be creative with it. And again, think about your audience. You want to give your audience options, and really that's what hybrid is about. Is for those who want to be there live, brilliant, you've got that solution. For those who want to be at home for whatever reason, you've got the solution as well. So you don't want to miss anyone out. And when we're thinking about food in a hybrid sense, for example, there's millions of suppliers out there that have, converted to doing deliveries and catering at home, whether that's, you can have private chefs, you can have, 3-course meals and silver service, you can have build your own burger kits. There's everything from kind of tequila and taco boxes and kits to wine tasting, as I said, cheese boards, everything in between. Then we're thinking about amusement. So this is really the entertainment aspect of your event. So obviously if you're doing the live element, you're thinking about what type of entertainment you're going to have. It could be music, it could be immersive experiences, it could be magicians, whatever type of entertainment you want. And again, you need to be thinking about your guests that are hybrid. So you can still recreate these experiences. They can have a great experience, again, if you've got the broadcast element of watching a live music, a live performance, something like that. You could even put in there a meet and greet. So they could upgrade to have a meet and greet with the artist pre or post show, for example, and go into a chat room and have that 2-way interaction, anything like that. So all I'm saying is that just you need to be thinking about both types of guests and what their experience is going to look like, and how, again, you can get the return on investment. Lastly, we have appreciation. So how we would do appreciation on a live event. We're thinking about thank you cards maybe, or a nice thank you email with a picture. You know, lots of events had kind of selfie mirror booths and that type of thing before we went into lockdown. And so, you know, they would email the picture straight away. So that's a really nice reminder, and it's something that's shareable on social media, for example. It reminds you of the experience you want, memories, because that's how you build brand awareness. And then on the other side, there's other very similar solutions where you can have pictures taken online. Again, you can kind of create the borders and things like that, so you can still have these elements. You can still send your virtual goodie bags out, or access to them, and you can still have vouchers, you can still send thank you cards and that type of thing. So, you know, don't miss any of these out. And if you think about the combination of all of these things on both sides, you're going to have a really successful hybrid event. I've just got here a few different suggestions and a few things that we have done. So we've got cocktail making with hampers, virtual tastings, 5 senses tasting tour, which is really fun, cooking master classes, chocolate and cake decorating, drink and draw. You have that with the DJ, quizzes, games, competitions, virtual escape rooms and murder mysteries. There's a million things out there, so, you know, get creative, realise that there's solutions for every scenario, and if there isn't one yet, then create one. We are now just going to quickly touch on maximising budget and ROI, so your return on investment. And what we've decided to focus on for this session is the sponsorship side, as we addressed earlier. So what's happened for sponsorship has been, on both sides, client side and sponsor side, a lot of opportunities. That includes branding and awareness building, because obviously if you're not out there, you're not getting exposed to the public or the clients that you want to be. Unable to collect MQL, so that's marketing qualified leads. So as I talked about earlier, when you're at a live event, you know, in the last year, particularly in the last year or two, a big ask for sponsors was, are there badge scanners, so that instead of them, you know, having to take down details or give out cards, they're actually collecting data. So that was, you know, a really big particular ask, and sponsors would have that as a key point to either take part in an event or not. If you don't have the badge scanners, they're not taking part, because there's so much data that can potentially be lost. So you need to think about that element as well. Even if you're doing hybrid, you need to be thinking about badge scanners and ways of collecting data on the live element. There's less content for sponsors to share, pictures, keynote speeches and things like that, before, you know, without having events to attend. And there's been limited and clunky networking abilities, so that has been both live and virtually. So these are the things that we've been thinking about and thinking about solutions for. So again, in the types of environments and platforms that we have been working on, there are many branding opportunities. The data is all measurable, and that can be given to the sponsors. There are plenty of links to share on socials. Obviously you've got video content, networking abilities. So again, this is something that's really key, mostly to corporate clients. There's ways to do it, as I said, with two-way communication, breakout rooms, themed rooms. You can do them by industry, by geography, by sector. But again, it's just really thinking through what you want at the bottom line of the event. What is going to mean that your event is successful? Things that we've been thinking about. So again, attractive, interactive sponsor areas worth selling. So that could be 3D sponsor booths, for example, with all the branding involved. Or it could be actual areas, galleries that are available after the event as well, up to a year. You can have different package levels to suit different budgets. They're quick and easy to change and upgrade, much quicker than doing it live. Data driven. We've got additional income streams for the event, for the client, for the organizer as well, and visibility on an international scale. So again, this is the benefit of hybrid. It's not just if you turned up at this event, you know, then your branding was seen, and if you got into pictures with a celebrity, for example, great, you know, you can send that to media. It's now people globally can log on and see your brand or your sponsor's brand at any point in time. So all you really need is the marketing to push people there. So, you know, some great opportunities to be had. We've just got some screenshots here of a couple of the environments. So you can see each of these podiums really can be branded for specific sponsors, and depending on what information they want to include, there's different price points. And here you can see a portal door, so if you go into that, for example, someone will get their own showroom, gallery, exhibition, and again that will be at a different price point and involve different types of media. So there we go, some of the benefits of hybrid events. I hope everyone has enjoyed the experience, and hope people are looking forward to playing more in the hybrid event space for the rest of the year and years to come. Thank you for attending today's session. Hopefully it got your creative juices flowing and you're excited as we are about doing more in the hybrid event space. If you'd like to stay in contact with us, see what we're doing, find out more information about our other services, please do get in touch. The website is jadegreenproductions.com. You can drop us an email on bookings@jadegreenproductions.com, and all of our socials are on @jadegreenproductions. Thanks for tuning in to today's session. I hope it was useful, and have a great rest of your week.